Next up, I would like to introduce Linwood, Tyndall, who will be presenting Greenlight, Community Assets Evolving to Meet Customer Needs. Linwood is an infrastructure engineer at Greenlight for the City of Wilson and has traveled to us today from Wilson, North Carolina. I used to work at UNC Chapel Hill, and my boss would always refer to Greenlight as a really cool project that we could definitely use more of in the state of North Carolina, and if only the General Administration Legislature would agree. So it's Linwood's first time presenting at NANOG, and it's a pleasure to have him speaking with us today. Welcome.
All right, good morning. So a little bit about Greenlight. So some of you may have heard of us before, some maybe not, but we're based in Wilson, North Carolina, small city of about 50,000 people. We serve the city of Wilson as well as Wilson County. We first launched in 2008. We were the first network of its kind in North Carolina and among the first nationally. So really, we came about as the need for internet and communication connectivity in Wilson and the surrounding area. Historically, Wilson has a long history of providing services to the community that really were not provided by the public sector. Of that really started way back in the 1880s, the need for electricity. That's kind of where Wilson started that journey. After that, they saw the need for natural gas. That started around the 1910s. And from that point, they moved on to the need for water. They saw the city continue to grow and the city need water. They built Buckhorn Reservoir. As we continue along, they were looking for what's next. The next big thing is internet connectivity. So fortunately, our city leadership saw that need and they took action. One of the first steps in that process was to reach out to the private sector, reach out to some of the internet providers in the area to see if they were willing to work with the city and provide faster internet connection, or to provide internet connection to some of the areas that really had no internet connectivity at the time. And that conversation started around 2001. So several years before Greenlight actually was formed, the city was working, trying to put a plan in place. Unfortunately, they didn't want any part, or the private sector didn't want any part of working with the city. And they pretty much said that they would rather go broke than partner with the city to provide that service. So the city set out on their own and said, well, we have to do what we need to do to feel like we're moving in the right direction and provide service to our residents. So as part of that mission in 2005, the city started to connect all of their substations, all of their electrical substations to the fiber network. The purpose of that was to provide service, obviously, to the electrical grid for things like switching and automation on the electrical grid, but also lay the backbone for the fiber network around Wilson, the city of Wilson and Wilson County. And again, in 2006, the city went back and said, you know, hey, we've got this fiber ring put in place going to our substations. Is there something that we can do to work with you guys and make use of this fiber ring that we've got in place? And they were turned down again. So in summary, past that point, 2008 is when Greenlight was officially started. So voice, video, and internet service all provided on that fiber network. And within that same year, Greenlight already had 1,000 members. So The end goal is to provide service to all residents in Wilson County. Currently, every home in the city of Wilson has access to Greenlight, and eventually we want to see every home in Wilson County have that same luxury. So along the way, as some of you, I'm sure, have heard, especially if you're from North Carolina, but we've had quite a few regulatory hurdles. So there was legislation passed, which was House Bill 129, that Greenlight was fathered into, that basically prevented any municipality or government entity from providing service to internet service. We can provide, we as in the city can provide electrical service, we can provide water service, we can provide natural gas, all of those things we can provide not only in our county but surrounding areas. We actually provide, I believe it's in 6 surrounding counties we provide power to. Unfortunately, we cannot provide internet service to those same areas. So in 2014, Wilson actually they petitioned the FCC to be able to serve the town of Pine Tops. Town of Pine Tops is a very small rural area, a few miles outside of the city of Wilson in neighboring Edgecombe County. Again, we do provide power to this city or small town, but they had no internet service. So in partnership with the town, we built fiber out to the town of Pine Tops. In Pine Tops, we had great adoption rate. People were coming on. They were finally getting connectivity that they had been without. And legislation was then made that in 2017, excuse me, that basically Greenlight had to stop serving the town of Pine Tops if another incumbent provider came and provided internet service. Once that legislation was passed, of course, somebody decided they were going to come and build it, right? They had never had any interest in it until that legislation was made. Once that bill was passed, then they began the process of overbuilding our fiber plant in Pine Tops. So with that, Greenlight made the decision, or the city of Wilson made the decision, instead of abandoning what was there and leaving the residents of Pine Top with only one option, we sold that to another provider. And now Pine Tops has 2 options for fiber internet, something not many places can say, much less a small rural town. So at the end, Pine Tops still came out on top. They now have 2 gigabit fiber internet providers. So it was a win for those folks in that town. All right, so a little bit about the technology portion of what we started with and where we're at today. So originally we started with Alcatel, now Nokia, but Alcatel 7342 GPON. That's what we started with, and we're still running some of that gear today. It's been really good for us, and we're in the process of phasing it out, but it is still there and still going strong. Started with our Alcatel 7750 for our internet core. We run one at our main head end and one at a different location for redundancy. As I said before, we run video also, so we have a 1550 overlay for our video service, and we have both analog and digital, and believe it or not, we still have analog cable. One of the few places that I believe still has that technology, but we're still using it. We run generally 288 count fibers out from our head end out to hubs that are strategically placed to serve homes. Those are generally split out in 1x32 splitters, so we serve 1 PON port that you see coming off of that shelf. One of those PON ports will serve up to 32 homes. Originally, we launched with speeds of 10 meg up to all the way up to 100 meg, which at the time in 2008 was, pretty good speed. At the time in 2008, I was working for another provider, and I remember somewhere in that very close time frame that we jumped up to offering a 10 by 1 on an HFC network, and we thought that that was really something. The Wi-Fi that we provided at the time was just a general Wi-Fi router. Many of you probably remember like the blue Linksys routers that were around in that time frame. That's what we were using back whenever we originally launched. So moving along, around the 2012 era, Greenlight offered a 1 gig MetroNet to the largest employer in Wilson County. We also completed a fiber ring to all of the county schools. So all of the schools in Wilson County at that point had access in 2012 to gig internet. 2013, we made the transition not only to the schools, but to all of our residential customers. And with that, we became North Carolina's first gigabit city. So really, along with all of this technology and all of this internet connectivity, brought a lot of innovation to the city and a lot of additional technology in what the city itself can do, like the smart grid, smart metering applications, all of those things that really tie in with the city infrastructure as well, that help provide connectivity for those items. So moving along to 2020, right at the time that COVID came, we were in the middle of upgrading some of our infrastructure, and we were hit with some supply chain issues. I'm sure a lot of you experienced some of those same issues, lasted for quite a while. But right at that point, as I said, we were in the middle of upgrading our shelves, installing some new Nokia gear. This is the updated version of, as I spoke about earlier, the Alcatel 7342. This is the Nokia 7360. This allows us to use XGS technology, or 10 gig symmetrical PON technology for our fiber. We also upgraded our Nokia core router to the Cisco platform, the Cisco ASR 9910 service routers. And we started to move away from our traditional video or our 1550 overlay to a streaming service that just allows us to utilize our internet service, rely on our robust internet more than traditional legacy video. We've also offered speeds of 100, 300 meg, 1 gig, and now 2 gig. We're looking at moving those, as you see, to 300, 1 gig, and what will be multi-gig service. I haven't completely decided on what that multi-gig will be, but likely 8 gig is what we're leaning toward. So with that, we look forward also to what's next. Do we move to 25 gig PON? Do we jump 25 gig and move to 50 gig PON? That's a question that we don't have the answer to yet. We don't know exactly what's going to be the right fit for us, but nonetheless, it's part of the equation of how do we get to the next step? What is the next big jump for us? So with Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi to most folks is internet. Internet is Wi-Fi. They're one and the same. Much different than it was when we started in 2008. So as we look forward, figure out what our next steps are and how to provide the best service to the community, we've really focused on the Wi-Fi portion. We can provide the speed going to the home. That part's not an issue. It's usually the Wi-Fi when customers have problems. They're having problems with their Wi-Fi. So we've partnered with Calyx to really provide the best in-home Wi-Fi experience that we feel that we can, and give us a lot of tools to be able to help the customer in the home to give insight into troubleshooting the network, from being able to look and see what devices are connected, what the signal for those devices are, just a lot of tools that really help us troubleshoot and provide great insight to the customer. So generally speaking, when most customers are connecting to the internet and they go through the process and have their home router, everybody gets an app, everybody gets a way to control their SSID, control their password, and this provides the same level of service that a customer would normally expect. We have all the way up to being able to offer Wi-Fi 6E at this point. Obviously, it never stops. It's Wi-Fi 7. It'll be Wi-Fi 12 next year or something. So whatever it is, we try to at least stay fairly close to that and keep providing great service to the customer. This goes back to, I guess, a step back just a little bit to 2020 when COVID came around. As I stated before, we went through a lot of different steps during that, trying to figure out remote work, trying to figure out how to proceed with the upgrades that we had planned without having everybody on site at the same time, trying to reduce exposures, all the things I'm sure many of you went through. Along with that, we were trying to partner with the school system and figure out how do we get these kids back in school? How do we, or maybe not get them back in school, but get them back learning wherever they may be. So meeting them where they are, so to speak. So we installed a lot more Wi-Fi hotspots all around town in different areas that previously didn't really have a need for the Wi-Fi coverage. But we were trying to give those kids places to go, places to be, that they had good, fast, reliable internet so that they could connect, so that they could have remote school sessions. So I forget the number, but I believe it was 60 something odd access points additional that we put up in areas throughout the city to be able to help with that effort. Fortunately, all of the work that had been done in the years coming up to 2020 had really laid the foundation for that, because we, again, had fiber running in virtually everywhere in the city. So putting an access point somewhere was really easy for us. So that was a great asset that we were able to utilize during that process. So again, talking about the future and where are we going, what are we doing? So our fiber network has really brought a lot of attention to Wilson, and it's brought a lot of opportunity to Wilson. We've had a lot of people choose to relocate to Wilson, both for personal reasons as well as business reasons, bring their businesses to Wilson because of the connectivity that we've been able to offer. Part of that has brought what you see here, Navigation East, which is a digital literacy program, brings people and technology together, meeting the people where they're at. Covers a lot of topics: digital safety, telehealth, working from home, work from home opportunities, shopping, bill pay, all of these things. It really is a opportunity to teach the public, to teach people in the community about all of these topics and how to do that. We also offer Greenlight Ed classes, which is basically sessions that we host, and we invite our customers or people from the community to come in to learn about internet, to learn about internet security, learn about Wi-Fi, how Wi-Fi works, how the fiber network works, how to use the application to control their Wi-Fi. All of those things that we really feel make us unique to a lot of providers, because it's a hands-on experience. It's involved with the community and really is a face-to-face interaction and hands-on to walk those customers and people in the community through these items. We also have the Riot Accelerator program, which is entrepreneurial process and research facility. So they are based out of Raleigh. But they also have a site now in Wilson, and it gives small businesses, startups, the opportunity to come in and utilize co-working space to network and share ideas, really get their business off the ground, and provide the support that they need to do that. So this is been a really big one for us as well. So the Wilson Community College and Greenlight City of Wilson has partnered together along with the Fiber Broadband Association to bring a course, a fiber optics basic course, to the curriculum at Wilson Community College. Really, the purpose of this is to bring advanced skills, higher incomes, to get the youth interested in a career in the fiber optic industry. So for quite some time, obviously, there's been computer science, there's been networking, there's been all of these other aspects of it. But when it comes to the fiber portion, or how to actually get this data delivered, there's not really been a lot there. It's had to be through hands-on experience. You had to get an entry-level job. You had to get your foot in the door, so to speak, at the entry level, and just kind of learn and work your way through. This program has really helped to give people a head start. It covers everything from actual fiber theory, how the wavelengths work, not only that part, but it goes into the hands-on aspect of how to prep the fiber, how to use an OTDR to verify the fiber, check for issues, breaks, micro bends, all of those types of issues. You get all of that experience hands-on in a classroom, in a lab, and prepares people to go out into the world and get a job in this industry. So with that, it also allows those same people to come back to Greenlight. That's what our end goal is, to be able to have those people come back in our community and serve the community, because we've seen that there is a definite lack of folks who are prepared or who have any experience in the fiber industry. Whenever we have put out job applications, most of the people have zero experience that apply. We've actually been able to hire a couple of people back that have gone through this class, have come back, and we've actually been able to hire those people. We've had one other person that went, and they were from a city probably about 50, 60 miles maybe from Wilson, but they took this course and they were able to get a job with a provider back in their hometown as well, out of this same course. We've had quite a few people that have gone back and advanced in their existing career. We've had people that just wanted to take the course because they were in a networking role or some other related role in the field, and they just wanted to know more about fiber. They just wanted the experience. So it's been a really successful program. Again, in the future, what's next? It's a 25 gig PON, it's a 50 gig PON. We don't know. No one ever thought, whenever we started in 2008, that we would see a need for speeds over a gig. That progressed really quickly. Like I said, I remember back in that time frame where we were offering 10 by 1 at the company I was working for previously, and thought that was a lot of speed. Thought that would do, everything you needed at that point. But here we are in 2024, and 1 gig is kind of the norm now. We don't see too many customers that, statistically speaking, max out a 1 gig circuit, but we know that 1 gig is definitely not going to be the answer. It's not going to be where we're going to stop. So we're in the process of figuring out, is it going to be 25 gig, or are we going to jump 25 gig to go to 50? It's kind of early in the 50 gig PON aspect, but the equipment that we currently have will support 25 gig PON. It's just a matter of changing the optics and the ONT, or the optical terminal that goes at the home. So we're thinking we're probably going to lean towards 25 gig PON just because it's more compatible with what we already have in place, but we'll see. Only time will tell. And I think that wraps up.
Are there any questions? So we had, there was one question online which you may not be able to answer. Has there been any movement towards repealing House Bill 129?
So there has not been any movement that I am aware of. Unfortunately, I believe until we have a general movement and understanding that the internet is as important as any other utility in today's world, it's necessary for the progression of the community. It's necessary for the progression of society as a whole. I don't think that will change. Unfortunately, there's always certain interest groups, certain folks who see things, I guess, one way. And until that mindset changes a little and that shift happens, I don't know that that will change, but I have a feeling it has to at some point. We still have many, many areas underserved all throughout the country. I can speak specifically here to North Carolina. You can cross the county line and go to another county, and those folks have, dial-up internet. Some of them don't even have DSL. So it's, a huge disparity. We're very fortunate in Wilson, but it doesn't take very far to go outside of Wilson in some of these other areas, and there's literally no connectivity. So thank you.
Maria Sidney, I'd like to ask you, you were speaking about the public Wi-Fi, and what came across my mind, it's probably quite a large-scale public Wi-Fi. Do you think about roaming in these networks, and how are you resolving, like, addressing issues when if you aren't running V6 only, if you are running V4, aren't you getting in some time out of the IP addresses assigned or so? Thank you.
Yeah, so we have this network. This Wi-Fi network covers almost all of downtown Wilson. It covers, as I said, a few other places that we strategically placed Wi-Fi access points to allow specifically school children to be able to access the internet, because unfortunately not everyone has internet access at home. So we have not really had an issue with IP addressing. We haven't seen enough people on those networks to run into any issue with IPv4. So we don't have any plans to change that at the moment. We are currently in the process of rebuilding that network because we have grown it so much, but we intend to stick with IPv4 at this time, just based on utilization and what we've seen. Does that answer everything?
I'd like to ask about the roaming thing. If I, for example, sit in a car and drive along, I change several access points. Whether you are supporting actually roaming between those access points, or whether it's completely does the handshake again and again.
Yeah, it does a handshake. It will drop one access point and move to the other. It's not so much. I guess it's not so much made for the mobile aspect as the idea that the people would be more in a stationary area and then reconnect at maybe the next location. So I guess maybe if they were at this business and then, they moved down and they're having drinks over at somewhere else, then they would reconnect there. Or in the instance of, someone doing schoolwork, they would be at, one location doing that work is more or less how the design process was.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Thank you.